Hey, this is Yulia and welcome to my channel. Here I talk all things travel in the world, learning languages, studying abroad, and today we'll be talking about learning multiple languages at the same time. If you've been following me for quite some time, you know that I speak 5 languages, which are English, Russian, German, French, and I'm learning Portuguese. So, Yulia, but how do you actually do that? Watch this video till the very end, and I'm gonna share all my tips, all my routines for learning 3 languages at the same time. Let's start with German. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've just came from Germany. Therefore, I've decided to reincarnate my German before my trip. I used to speak German very well. I've studied it at school, so for like 6 years. Then I got my degree in English and German. But then I moved to Canada and I lost most of my German skills because obviously I will not speak any German in Canada. So I tried to, learn newspapers, magazines, listen to podcasts. But the thing is, with German, my goal was to speak to people when I come to Germany, meaning I needed speaking classes. So reading was fine, listening was fine, but speaking, you can always talk to yourself, but who's gonna correct your mistakes and stuff like that? So I had 2 weeks till my trip, so I decided to try Lingota. I've heard a lot of good stuff about this school. My friends are actually using it. So what is Lingota? It's an online school that connects students like myself with the native speaking teachers. Basically, I was like, okay, I have 2 weeks, I need to learn German. Not learn, but revise what I have in my head. So I picked different teachers from different regions. And this is amazing because in Germany, there are different, provinces and there are different accents, different dialects. And the best part is that you can make your own schedule. The classes are available literally 24/7. I had classes at 8 a.m., I had classes at 9 p.m. Every day, anytime, there are classes available to you. And my favorite part was that I designed the course myself. There is a topic about money. That's literally what I needed for the trip. So I picked what I was interested in so I could skip all the, how's the weather? How do I get a coffee? I was like, okay, hotel check-in. Okay, I need to blah, blah, blah. So when I came to Germany, I could literally go to a post office, I could go to a supermarket and talk to people in German. And they understood me. I'm so proud of myself, to be honest, because I haven't spoken German for many years. When I started Lingota classes, I was like, Ich heiße Yulia und ich komme aus Russland. By the end of my classes, so I had 2 weeks every second day, I was like fluent. And then people in Berlin understood me. This is amazing. If you've never tried Lingota, Miss Yulia has a gift for you. Sign up with the link that you can find here or here. Use my promo code Yulia30 and get 30% off your course fee. You can study German, you can study French, Spanish, English. Amazing. Aside from Lingota classes, I watched a lot of YouTube, mostly about, vintage stores in Berlin, about some local spots, places to go. And I actually ended up buying a vintage sweater in one of the stores. And I spoke German. How cool is that? The second language is Portuguese. If you've been here for quite some time, you know that I've moved to Lisbon 3 months ago, something like that. And now I'm learning Portuguese because I want to, integrate into society and speak the language. For Portuguese, however, it's a bit different. First of all, because I'm already in the country. And if I literally learn something online, I can go, and practice it. So I can go to a bar and be like, gostaria uma bebida, por favor. And this makes things easier because I have Portuguese people everywhere I go. But I've decided to take a Portuguese exam. Why? Because I'll need it for my residency or for my Portuguese passport in many years. So for Portuguese, I've been using this book. It's Portuguese exams basically from A2 till B2. There are some, tests. You can also find audio files. So I've been using this for my Portuguese. But the funniest part is I went to a coffee shop and I found a magazine called Lisboet. I thought it was called Lisboet. But then turned out it's a French magazine and it's Lisboet. All the articles are in French except for this one. literally one article in Portuguese. So I wanted to practice my Portuguese, but instead I had to practice my French. So speaking of French, I'm trying to maintain it by reading news, magazines, watching some YouTube as well. But I'm trying to, differentiate the activities so my brain doesn't, mix things up. So for German, it's like classes. For Portuguese, it's the book and reading. For French, it's mostly reading and some YouTube. Sometimes I even listen to podcasts, but French podcasts when you're in Portugal, it makes things worse. So I'm trying to, find different things for different languages. As for Russian and English, they are my primary languages that I speak every single day. My husband speaks Russian and English. I work with English-speaking people. I speak to, people in Lisbon in English, but sometimes in Portuguese. I'm trying, okay? No judgment here. So for these two languages, I literally have you guys, YouTube. So yeah, English and Russian are basically my native languages. But Yulia, can you share some tips on how do you actually study multiple languages at the same time? Sure thing. Tip number 1, different activities for different languages. As I've mentioned before, I took Lingota classes for my German. As for in Portuguese, I'm trying to use textbooks and books in general. For French, YouTube, some magazines. So basically I have listening for French, speaking for German, and then reading for Portuguese. But then I switch. This week I'm gonna watch a lot of Portuguese YouTube and practice my, listening skills. Maybe for French, I'll try to write something so I can practice my writing skills. So different activities for different languages. And the second tip is kind of relevant to the first one, and it's different days for different languages. So since I was going to Germany, I decided that I'm gonna take classes every second day. Basically, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I would book a time slot in my calendar, because if you don't do that, I've been there. I didn't do a single thing. When I was like, I'm gonna practice my Portuguese tonight after dinner. And then after dinner, you're like, oh, I need to clean the apartment, I need to wash the dishes, I need to go for a walk, blah, 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 blah. And you don't do anything. So pick days for languages and then book time slots in your calendar. If you have a paper agenda, just draw a rectangle, say, Portuguese time. So you won't have an excuse of being like, oh, I've been so busy with work, blah, blah, blah. When I have 2 hours of spare time, I would literally be like, go speak German, Yulia. And another tip that I mentioned from video to video is find good motivation. Why are you learning so many languages at the same time? Why do you need this? As for me, I was going to Berlin and Hamburg. So German had to be, quick. That's why I picked classes, because the progress I made in those 2 weeks was like, for my Portuguese, I want to talk, to the natives, because I live in this country now and I want to understand and be understood. For my French, I just want to maintain it so I don't lose it as I did with my German. So motivation should be clear. It's not like, oh, I want to be a polyglot, I want to speak 5 languages. It's like, why? If it makes sense to you, you can also write tiny goals, maybe put it on the walls, I don't know, on sticky notes, maybe in your digital notes. You can be like, you know what, I'm going to Italy next year. I want to be able to order pasta or pizza or tiramisu maybe. So write those tiny goals. They might seem fun to you, being like, yeah, order like a pasta, say just like 3 words. But those tiny goals, they actually help you with your motivation. I don't know, I'm trying not to be too hard on myself, being like, I need to be fluent in Portuguese by the end of the year. No, I've done this with French, and now I'm trying to be like, I want to be understood when I go to pharmacy in Lisbon. I want to be understood when I go to a store. And little by little, I'm making progress every single day. Tip number 4 that I wish I knew earlier, it's okay to experiment. If you don't like an activity, change it, switch, just move on. If you don't like a teacher, same thing. It took me, I don't even know how many years to realize that one-on-one classes or small group classes, they help me so much in progressing super fast. Because before moving to Portugal, I took Portuguese classes. I've learned so much in 1 month. It's literally crazy. I spoke to people who take offline classes here in Lisbon, and they're not even halfway where I were in a month. Same with German. When I started my online classes, I was like, I don't remember anything. I was like literally at C1 level 10 years ago. Now I'm like at what, A2, B1? But in these 2 weeks, my progress was like boom. By the end of the classes, I could actually talk. I was like, okay, people understand me, I understand them. Maybe my German is coming back. Tip number 5, do not start multiple languages at the same time. Meaning, don't start languages at the beginner level. Because if you start learning Italian and then Spanish and then, I don't know, French, and all of them gonna be 0, you're gonna like forget everything because it's super complicated. But if you have, let's say, A1 Italian and then B2 German, they're literally different. Here you're trying to order coffee, here you're talking about pollution and like, you know, greenhouse effect. So it's gonna be easier to differentiate those languages. And another tip is try to pick different languages, meaning like Chinese or like Arabic or like, I don't know, Norwegian. Because if you have, let's say, French and Portuguese as I have, my friends, you're gonna be so confused all the time. Yes, it helps when I forget a word in Portuguese because I'm like, how do you say that in French? Oh yeah, it's the same in Portuguese. But sometimes my speech sounds like, I don't even know what. Someone says bom dia and I'm like, a você, and I'm like, it's not Portuguese. And I'm like, igualmente. I think my brain thinks that French and Portuguese is the same language, so it kind of like, you know, merges for some reason. And this is it for today. I hope the video was helpful. You've learned something new. If you learn in languages, please let me know in the comments which ones, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!